You useless old man, if you do not bring back the full $50 today, watch out, because tonight you are sleeping outside in the doghouse with only wine to keep you warm. That was the morning greeting my son-in-law gave me. Me, David, an architect who once designed half of this neighborhood in the city. Now I am sitting, huddled at the steps of the downtown cathedral, hiding my bruised face under the brim of a broken hat, holding out a shaking paper cup to ask for money from passers-by. My daughter knows about this, but she chooses to stay silent, to keep the supposed family harmony. Man, life really knows how to play cruel jokes, but those vultures made a fatal mistake. They do not know that my son, the son they thought had abandoned me in distant New York, is standing right behind me at this moment. And what will happen in the next 24 hours is not just revenge. It is an earthquake that not even in their wildest dreams could the entire lineage of that family predict. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel Williams Revenge Stories and tell us where you are listening from in the comments below. The sun was beating down on the cathedral square. The August heat in the city does not just burn, it is heavy, crushing the shoulders like a hot slab. The sharp smell of asphalt mixed with the grease of fried street food and the smoke of incense coming out of the great doors of the cathedral created a dense atmosphere, suffocating until I could almost not breathe. I sat curled up in a dark corner near the side entrance, where the shadow of the old stone wall protected this ancient body. I pulled down my frayed straw hat, trying to hide the left half of my face. Under my button-down shirt, that garment that was once my pride at weddings and christenings, sweat was running down in streams, stinging the fresh bruises Michael gave me yesterday. $1, please, for the love of God. My voice was hoarse. It sounded like the wind whistling through a broken window. It was drowned out by the chaotic noise of thousands of tourists, the horns of traffic in the distance, and the sharp cries of ladies selling religious trinkets. The paper cup in my hand shook uncontrollably. I took a look inside. Damn it, there were only a few coins, $10, $20, $37. I had counted them 3 times, although that addition and subtraction was no challenge for an architect who used to calculate structures for 15-story buildings. $37. This money was barely enough for 2 cheap hot dogs from a street cart or a bottle of water to endure the thirst burning my throat. But I did not dare to spend a single penny. If tonight I arrived home without the $200 for the maintenance fee for Michael, my precious son-in-law would get furious again. And when Michael gets angry, he does not just use words. I closed my eyes. A hot tear rolled down my wrinkled cheek, salty. I am David, damn it. I am the architect, David Miller. This shaking hand holding a beggar cup designed residences in the richest gated communities, directed hundreds of workers, signed 6-figure checks. I worked hard for 40 years, saving every dollar, investing in real estate, all to have a peaceful old age, to be able to drink my coffee in my garden full of flowers. And yet, here I am, invisible and despised like a stray dog on the side of the road. God, why do you give me such heavy tests? The church bells rang, announcing the end of the noon mass. People poured out of the big doors like bees from a broken hive. Hurried steps passed by me, Nike sneakers, dress shoes, sandals, even the bare feet of pilgrims entering the sanctuary on their knees. No one stopped. In this monstrous and cruel city, misery is part of the landscape, so familiar that people do not even bother to look. Suddenly, a pair of shiny brown leather shoes stopped right in front of me. They were handmade calfskin Oxfords, the good ones, the kind I used to wear when I went to the office. Those shoes stood still, blocking the flow of hurried people, creating a strange silence in the middle of the bustle. I did not raise my head. I'd already learned the lesson of the miserable. Look at the ground to preserve the little dignity left. Some charity, just a coin. I repeated my usual phrase like a broken machine. But the man did not throw money in the cup. He did not leave either. The silence lasted 3 seconds. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Enough to feel the skin on the back of my neck bristle. Something was not right. I looked up slowly, squinting my eyes because of the blinding sun bouncing off the pavement. A young man about 30 years old, dressed in an impeccable navy blue Italian cut suit, was looking down at me, a leather briefcase under his arm. His face was distorted, his eyes wide open, full of horror, as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. "Dad!" The call was soft, but it rumbled like thunder in my ears. My heart skipped a beat. The paper cup slipped from my hands, falling to the ground. The coins rolled, clinking on the burning floor. "Daniel?" I exclaimed with a broken voice, shattered to pieces. It was my son, my Daniel, the greatest pride of my life, the talented son who worked as a financial director for a big corporation in New York, 1,000 miles from here. Why was he here? Why now? Daniel fell to his knees right in the middle of the square, not caring about dirtying his expensive suit with the dust of the ground. He raised his hand to touch my gaunt face. His trembling fingers grazed the bruise on my left cheekbone that the hat failed to cover. "My God, Dad, what the hell is this? What the hell happened?" Daniel's voice broke, mixed between panic and deep pain. "What are you doing here? Why? Why are you in this condition?" I wanted the earth to swallow me. I wanted the ground to open up and disappear me in that instant. I lowered my head, trying to hide my calloused and dirty hands inside my sleeves. "No, it is not me." "You are confusing me with someone else, young man." Go away, please. How am I going to be confused?" Daniel grabbed me hard by the shoulders, shaking me as if wanting to wake me up from a nightmare. "Look at me, Dad. I landed this morning to give you a surprise for your birthday next week. I came to give thanks at the cathedral before going home. Dad, where is your pension? Where are your life savings? Why do you have to beg like a homeless person?" I broke down crying. The containment, the endurance, the fear of the last 8 months exploded like a broken dam. I could no longer maintain the mask of the strong David before the pained look of my son. "Michael," I whispered. The name came out of my mouth like bitter phlegm. "He took everything, son. He says I am old, that I am senile, that I am useless. He said if I did not bring money, he would put me in the most miserable nursing home in the city." Daniel's face hardened, going from shock to absolute fury. He looked around as if looking for the culprit, and then looked back at me, his gaunt father, just skin and bones. He took off his jacket and put it over my shoulders, covering my dirty shirt. "Get up, Dad. We are going home." "No." I clung to his hand with panic. Terror invaded me. "Let's not go home now. He is going to hit me. He has the papers. He says he is the owner. He is the boss now." Daniel helped me get up. His eyes burned with a cold fire I had never seen in that noble boy. "Not today, Dad. Today I am here. And I swear to God that that son of a bitch is going to pay for every one of your tears." The shiny black Uber glided down the avenue, isolating my son and me from the suffocating heat and the chaos of the city traffic. Inside it was cool with a faint citrus scent, a smell of cleanliness, of money, of a world to which I belonged and from which I was expelled long ago. I was curled up in the back seat, clinging to the lapels of my son's jacket, as if it were my only life raft in the middle of the ocean. I looked out the window, watching the tall buildings pass, not daring to look Daniel in the face. I was afraid to see the disappointment in his eyes. Daniel was next to me, with his jaw so tight that his muscles stood out. He stared at my skinny hands. Just 9 months ago, when he video called me for New Year's, I was still a robust man with an easy laugh, showing off the plans for the garden remodeling. Now the one next to him was just an empty shell. "Tell me everything, Dad," said Daniel. His voice tried to stay calm, but trembled with contained rage. "From beginning to end, do not hide anything from me. Please." I took a deep breath. My lungs wheezed softly. 8 months ago, I started, with a hoarse voice. After the flood in the suburbs, Emily and Michael's rented house got flooded. They called me at midnight. Emily, crying, said they had nowhere to sleep, that their things were ruined. I told them to come to the big house temporarily. The house is big, you know. I thought, well, blood calls. My house is their house. And then? The first month, everything was fine. Michael behaved well and Emily took care of the food. But then Michael started complaining about the repairs of the other house and asked to borrow my bank card. He said he needed to buy material, cement, tiles. I gave it to him. I trusted him, and he never gave it back. Daniel turned sharply. He didn't give it back? Did you not report it to the bank to block it? No way. You are very careful. I smiled bitterly, a twisted grimace on my sucked-in face. I was going to do it. But that day he brought a guy to the house. He introduced him to me as a notary public. Very formal. They took out a bunch of papers. They told me to sign to process some health insurance and some remodeling permits to deduct taxes. I did not have my glasses. I trusted because my daughter was standing right there. General power of attorney for acts of ownership. Daniel blurted out, understanding everything instantly. As a financier, he knew perfectly well the danger of that damn paper. Did he trick you into signing your own sale? That is right, I nodded, and the tears welled up hot again. After having that paper, his attitude changed 180 degrees. He emptied my savings account. He intercepted my Social Security checks. He kept the rent from the small apartment downtown that I used for my old age. He said I was already old, that it was dangerous for me to handle money. And Emily, my sister, did she just stand there watching how they robbed you? Daniel inquired. His voice begged for a ray of hope about his sister's humanity. Emily, I hesitated, confessing with pain. She is terrified of Michael. Every time I wanted to say something, Emily looked at me with pleading eyes so I wouldn't make Michael angry. You know how he is. He is a chauvinist to the core. He says that in that house he is the man, the pillar, and that women and old people have to obey. Daniel rolled up my shirt sleeve. Under the fabric appeared the bruises under the white light of the car. Some yellowish, already old, others purple and black, recent. There was a long scar as if made with the corner of a table. This was from Monday. I pointed to the black bruise on my arm. I asked him for $50 to buy my blood pressure medicine. He was drinking beer with his friends. He went crazy. He said I made him look bad. He pushed me against the TV cabinet. He told me, "Do you think my money is to support you, useless old man?" Daniel closed his eyes and breathed deeply. "Have you eaten anything, Dad?" That simple question broke me. Today in the morning I ate the leftover beans from last night with a hard piece of bread. I confessed, lowering my voice in shame. Michael says that old people should eat little so as not to spend so much on cleaning, while every night he orders the best steaks from the neighborhood, or they go out to eat expensive cuts and drink tequila with Emily. Nursing home, I whispered, the fear palpable in every cell. He threatens me that if I call the police or call you, he will use that power of attorney to throw me in the lousiest state nursing home. He says there they will tie me to the bed, starve me, and I will rot in my own filth. I am very scared, Daniel. I prefer to die on the street than enter there. Daniel opened his eyes. He had his fists so closed that his nails dug into his flesh until they bled. A cold anger invaded my son's mind. I saw that he was no longer the little boy from before. He was indignant. Michael not only took the money, he stole my dignity. He turned the proud David into a scared pet in his own house. "Driver," Daniel told the driver, with a voice as icy as a winter wind, "can you go faster? To the historic district, Main Street. Hurry up." "Yes, sir," replied the driver, looking in the rearview mirror with concern. Daniel turned and took my bony hand. "Listen to me, Dad. From this moment on, no one is ever going to hurt you again. That paper, those threats, everything ends today. I swear it on my life." I looked at my son. I wanted to believe him, but the fear soaked to the bones for 8 months made me tremble. "He is very strong, Daniel. He has thug friends. He is from the streets." "I don't give a damn who he is," replied Daniel. looking straight ahead where the road to our childhood home was already appearing. He does not know who I really am when I get angry. The car stopped in front of number 42 on Main Street. It is a beautiful street in the old town, full of old trees with colonial-style houses. My house stood out with its vibrant brick wall and the purple bougainvillea covering the entrance arch. That was my pride. I myself chose every imported tile for the steps. I designed the little fountain in the patio. But today the house looked painfully foreign. It looked like an outraged beauty. From the street, loud music could be heard with the bass booming. Boom-ta-ta-boom. Boom-ta-ta-boom. The iron gate vibrated. A huge black Chevy Suburban with tinted windows, the kind used by new money or small-time dealers. It was parked shamelessly in the middle of the driveway, blocking the view of the garden. Its tires were crushing the rose bushes I planted last year. "Whose truck is that?" asked Daniel, getting out with a tense voice. "Michael's," I murmured. "He bought it 3 months ago with my retirement savings. He said it was to take me to the doctor more comfortably, but I have never gotten into it." Daniel said nothing. He clenched his jaw. He helped me enter. The smell of stale beer and cigarettes hit us as soon as we crossed the heavy oak door. The patio, where I used to drink coffee and read the newspaper, was a battlefield. Beer cans and bottles rolled everywhere, pizza boxes thrown around. The fountain was off, the water stagnant and murky, full of floating cigarette butts. How disgusting. We entered the living room. Daniel froze. All the classic furniture my wife chose with such care had disappeared. The display cabinet, the carved mahogany table, everything replaced by a shiny black leather sofa, grotesque and cheap, like from a sleazy bar. On the wall where oil paintings of landscapes hung, now there was an 85-inch television playing a football game, and there, sprawled on the new sofa, was Michael. My son-in-law was wearing a white tank top. His belly overflowed, showing blurry tattoos on his fat arms. He had his dirty feet on the coffee table, a can in his hand, shouting, "Touchdown! Touchdown! What a touchdown!" Next to him, a plate of half-eaten nachos. He looked like a king in the kingdom he had just stolen. Michael did not turn around when he heard the door. He thought it was Emily arriving from work. "Hey, Emily, we ran out of beer. If you are here, move your ass to the kitchen and bring me another one." "Move it!" he yelled without taking his eyes off the screen. Daniel let go of me. He walked towards the stereo that was booming and bent down calmly. Click! He yanked the power cord. Silence fell suddenly. Only the hum of the fan and my heavy breathing remained. Michael jumped off the sofa like a spring, red with anger. "What the hell? What is your problem?" He turned around and saw Daniel standing in the middle of the living room, and me shrinking by the door. Surprise crossed Michael's face, but quickly was replaced by his usual arrogance. He twisted his mouth into a mocking smile. "Well, well, look who is here," said Michael, slurring his words. "The prodigy brother-in-law from New York has returned. Why didn't you warn us to send the welcome committee? Or did you get lost just like the old man?" He threw me a threatening look, that look that has haunted me for 8 months. "And you what? Where do you come from? I thought you were working. Don't tell me you come empty-handed. You know the rules of this house. If there is no money, there is no dinner. Do you remember?" "Shut your mouth," said Daniel. He did not shout, but his voice cut the air like a razor. Michael let out a laugh, slamming the can on the table. He stood up, puffing out his chest, trying to look bigger than Daniel. Although fatter, he was a head shorter than my son. He had that typical neighborhood bully posture. "Who are you telling to shut up?" Michael approached, blowing alcoholic breath on Daniel. "Who do you think you are to come here and give orders? This is my house. I am the head of the family. You are just a guest. Do you understand? What are you?" "Your house," repeated Daniel, sweeping the destroyed room with his gaze. "You call this pigsty a house, and beating your father-in-law and sending him to beg you, call being head of the family?" "I am taking care of him," bellowed Michael, starting with his tactic of playing the victim. He is already senile. He likes to go out and wander. I give him a roof, food, clothes, and you dare to come and complain to me? I have papers. The law says I'm his guardian. He pointed his finger at Daniel's face, almost poking his nose. If you know what is good for you, get out to your hole in New York. Don't mess with my house. Or I will call the patrol and throw you both in jail. Get out. I was trembling behind. Daniel, leave him alone, son. Don't make him angry. He hits very hard. Daniel did not look at me. He looked straight into Michael's eyes, his black eyes drilling into the cowardice that hid behind my son-in-law's aggression. Are you threatening me, Michael? Asked Daniel, with a terrifying calm. He started taking off the Rolex from his wrist and put it in his pocket. Then he took off his jacket slowly, folding it and putting it on the back of the sofa. You, what are you going to do? Michael hesitated, seeing Daniel's strangely calm attitude. He was used to intimidating weak people like me or Emily. He had never faced a real man ready to fight. I'm going to teach you a lesson in respect, said Daniel, and began to roll up his shirt sleeves, showing his firm forearms. Michael saw Daniel's action and let out a laugh of contempt. He looked at his own body, big, robust, compared to Daniel's slim office worker figure. He thought he had the victory assured. He was street, my son was white collar. Do you want to fight, rich boy? Michael smiled sideways, cracking his knuckles. Come on, I am going to teach you how we hit in the hood. Don't say I didn't respect the brother-in-law. I'm going to beat the hell out of you. Having said that, Michael lunged. He threw a clumsy right hook straight at Daniel's face. It was the style of a bar-drunk fight. Pure brute force, no technique. I screamed and closed my eyes. But the blow I expected never arrived. Daniel did not even blink. He only tilted his head slightly to the left. Michael's fist went buzzing past his ear, hitting the air. When Michael lost his balance going forward, Daniel released a quick blow like lightning to his ribs. Boom! The dry sound resonated. Michael let out a moan like a pig in the slaughterhouse, wrinkling his face. But Daniel did not stop. He spun and swept his supporting leg. The big son-in-law fell like a sack of potatoes to the hard floor. Ah, son of a... He got up with difficulty, with bloodshot eyes. Arrogance turned into madness. He grabbed an empty beer bottle from the table and smashed it against the edge. Crash! The broken glass pointed at my son. I am going to kill you. I am going to kill you all, roared Michael, throwing himself at Daniel with the glass in hand. Watch out, son. He has a weapon, I screamed desperately, with my heart in my mouth. Daniel kept his cool. I forgot that, besides finance, he had been practicing Krav Maga for 5 years for stress. For him, a drunk with a bottle was just a warm-up. When Michael threw the thrust, Daniel took a quick step, caught his wrist and twisted it backwards. Crack! The crunch of the joint was horrible. Michael screamed, dropping the glass that shattered on the floor. Daniel immediately wrapped his arm around his neck from behind, closing the rear naked choke. Let go of me, stammered Michael, turning purple. He kicked, scratched Daniel's arm uselessly. My son's arm was a steel press on his throat. Daniel leaned close to Michael's ear, whispering with an authority that rumbled in the room. Listen well, you little man. You are only brave enough to hit old people and women. You say you are very macho? A real man does not hit his father-in-law. A man does not live off his wife. You are a disgusting parasite. You are trash. Daniel squeezed a little more. Michael rolled his eyes, kicking desperately. I could break your neck right now, and the police would say it was self-defense because you attacked me with a bottle, continued Daniel, icy. But I am not going to dirty my hands with your blood. He let go and pushed Michael towards the door. Michael fell face down, coughing, holding his throat. He looked at Daniel with pure terror. He realized the difference in levels. He could not beat this man. His cheap thuggery did not work against discipline and real strength. Get out. Daniel pointed to the door. Out of my house right now. Michael crawled to get up with wild eyes. He saw the determination in Daniel, and more importantly, he saw me trembling with the phone in my hand, clumsily dialing emergency. Okay. I am leaving, stammered Michael. backing away and pointing weakly. But remember, I am going to sue. I have papers. I am going to come back with my lawyer. You will see. Set one foot here again, and I will not be as kind as today. Daniel advanced a step. Michael ran away terrified. He tripped on the threshold, almost fell, but ran to his truck. The Suburban's engine roared. The tires screeched, leaving a black mark as he shot out, like a soul taken by the devil. The house returned to silence. Daniel exhaled, adjusting his shirt cuffs. He turned to look at me. I was leaning against the wall, crying. Not from fear, but from relief. For the first time in 8 months, the demon had been expelled. Daniel came and hugged me. My skinny body trembled in my son's firm arms. "He is gone, Dad. He is gone," he consoled me. But at that moment the door sounded. It opened. Emily entered the house. My daughter. She was wearing her office uniform, carrying a plastic bag with food from the corner diner. The smell of onions and grease turned my stomach. She stood paralyzed, seeing the battlefield in the living room. Broken glass, moved furniture, the sofa out of place, and Michael missing. The bag of food fell from her. The tacos flew out, scattering red sauce like blood on the tiled floor. "What happened here?" shouted Emily with a high-pitched voice full of panic. She looked at Daniel, then at me. "Where is Michael? What did you do to my husband?" She ran to the living room, not to go to me, her elderly father, trembling and full of bruises, but to look for a trace of her husband. "Answer me," she yelled at Daniel. "You hit him, didn't you? I saw his truck leaving like crazy. Do you know what you just did?" Daniel looked at his sister in disbelief. I saw immense disappointment in my son's eyes. He had just saved me from an abuser, and the first thing his sister says is to worry about the executioner. "Emily," said Daniel, lowering his tone, "he was going to stab me with a broken bottle. He broke Dad's ribs. He has him all bruised. Don't you see? Are you blind?" Emily looked at me sideways, but quickly turned her face, avoiding my gaze. "Michael, he just has a strong character," she started to justify with those phrases I have heard her say to herself hundreds of times. "He is under a lot of pressure. He has debts. He didn't do it on purpose. Dad also gets senile. He drives him crazy." That phrase was a stab straight to my heart. "What did you say?" I spoke. My voice trembled, but full of pain. "That I drive him crazy? Asking him for my medicine? Breathing in this house? Are you my daughter or his accomplice?" "Dad, don't say that." Emily approached, but not to console, but to convince. "You know, Michael, you just have to endure a little bit. Now that Daniel kicked him out, he is going to be furious. He is going to leave me. He is going to ask me for a divorce." She broke down crying, covering her face. "You guys don't understand. If he leaves me, how am I going to live? What will the neighbors say? The daughter of the Millers abandoned? It is humiliating. What a shame." Daniel felt nauseous. That damn culture of appearances. My daughter preferred to see her father beaten and begging, rather than carry the stigma of being left. Michael had brainwashed her completely. "Are you worried about appearances?" Daniel grabbed her by the shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "And what about Dad having to beg downtown? Does that not give you shame? Or does it seem normal to you that Dad eats cold beans while you guys dine in restaurants? I didn't know he begged," Emily stammered. "I thought he went out for walks." "Don't lie," shouted Daniel, making Emily shrink. "Dad told me he asked you for help, and you turned your back on him. You chose your husband over your father. You are an accomplice, Emily. You are as guilty as that wretch." Emily collapsed on the sofa, where her husband had just been crying inconsolably. "I am scared. I am very scared. Michael said if I left him, he would kill me." Daniel let her go. He realized it was more serious than he thought. Emily was not just a submissive wife. She was a victim of psychological control. But right now, she was not on our side. She was a danger. She would call Michael. She would warn him. She would open the door for him. He turned to me. "Dad, we cannot stay here tonight," said Daniel sharply. "Michael is going to come back, and he won't come alone. He will bring his thug friends or the debt collectors. We are not safe, but it is my house. I looked around with nostalgia. You are going to get it back, I promise you, assured Daniel. But not today. Tonight, we need to go to a safe place to prepare the legal battle. We need lawyers, police, and evidence. He went to my room, now a messy storage room. He grabbed some clothes and the papers that remained, putting them in a black bag. Let's go, Dad. Daniel helped me out. Before leaving, he looked at Emily, who was still crying on the sofa between the disaster and the red sauce. Emily, he said, cold, but with pity. Tonight, you have two options. You come with Dad and me, and we protect you. Or you stay to wait for your husband. But I warn you, if you stay, you will have to assume the consequences when the police arrive. Think about it well. Emily looked up, with swollen eyes, looking at her brother, then at the door where darkness was falling. The fear of Michael was too deeply rooted. I cannot leave. He is going to find me. I can't, she whispered. Daniel shook his head, disappointed. Good luck, little sister. He slammed the door shut. We walked towards the Uber waiting for us. As the car moved away from Main Street, I looked at my house one last time. The yellow light of the living room looked lonely. I knew the war to recover my life was just beginning, and the most painful wound was not on my skin, but in the betrayal of the daughter I loved the most. Where are we going? I asked weakly. To the Hilton, replied Daniel, taking out his cell phone. And tomorrow first thing, we go to the district attorney's office. It is time to show them what justice is. I entered my old bedroom, which for the last 8 months had become a damp storage room. Michael had piled up all my architectural plans there, my models of a lifetime, to make room for empty beer cartons and their dirty clothes. Daniel watched at the door with his gaze still lit after the fight. Quickly, Dad. Only what is necessary. We don't have much time. My trembling hands grabbed old clothes, the cream shirt I wore at my daughter's wedding, now yellowed at the collar, some worn socks. I looked for my address book of old friends with whom I cut contact out of shame. The deeds, Dad? The savings book? Asked Daniel, sweeping the room with his gaze. In the safe, I pointed to the master bedroom, which was mine, and now was Michael and Emily's cave. Michael changed the combination. He said I was old and would lose the papers. Damn it! Damn it! Cursed Daniel between his teeth. He gestured to go there, but I stopped him. No, son, don't make more mess. Emily is in there. I didn't want my son to see his sister's intimacies with that guy, or worse, to face Emily's betrayal again tonight. Daniel nodded reluctantly. He put my clothes in a black plastic bag, one of those for trash. Man, my life at 70 years old fit in a trash bag. I felt like a thief sneaking into the house I built with my own sweat. We went out to the living room. Emily was still there on the black leather sofa, with her face in her hands, sobbing in a deathly silence. She did not raise her head. Maybe she didn't dare, or maybe she was busy texting her husband. I stopped for a moment, looking at my little girl. I wanted to tell her something. I wanted to say, Daughter, wake up. But a lump formed in my throat. Let's go, Dad. Daniel guided me, squeezing my shoulder to give me strength. The heavy oak door closed behind us with a dry click. That sound was like a judge's gavel, sentencing the end of a dark era, but also cutting the last thread between that house and me. The Uber was already there. As we started, I looked back. The streetlight illuminated the purple bougainvillea. The house looked beautiful, peaceful on the outside. No one would know that inside was a hell. Don't look back, Dad, said Daniel softly. The next time we come back, you will enter through the big door, with your head held high like the owner you are. The car crossed the empty streets of the old town and joined the highway traffic. The city at night is a bright and noisy monster. I saw the homeless under the bridges, and my heart shrank. If it weren't for Daniel, I would be there or in that dirty nursing home Michael threatened me with. We arrived at the Hilton downtown. The lobby shone. It smelled of ambient perfume. The receptionist greeted kindly. That normality seemed foreign and luxurious to me. I lowered my head, ashamed of my appearance. "A room with 2 beds," asked Daniel, giving his card. "And please do not disturb. My father needs to rest." Upon entering the room, Daniel put the lock, the chain, and wedged a chair against the door. "Just in case," he said, seeing my face. "I don't want surprises today." I sat on the edge of the bed. The soft mattress sank. I was still hugging my black bag. "You are safe, Dad." Daniel sat next to me, taking the bag from me. "Sleep. Today no one is going to hit you. No one is going to ask you for money." I lay down, but sleep did not come. Every noise in the hallway, the cleaning cart, footsteps made me jump. I thought they were Michael's heavy steps, his drunken voice asking for money. I closed my eyes, but in my head, Emily's crying echoed, "I cannot leave. He is going to find me." God bless, I escaped, but my daughter was still in that hell. The morning sun slipped through the curtains, waking me up. For an instant I looked for the clock with panic, fearing being late to the intersection to beg for money. Then I touched the white and soft duvet. I opened my eyes. Clean ceiling, no humidity. The air conditioning hummed softly. I remembered. I was not home. The bathroom door opened and Daniel came out, with wet hair and smelling of soap. He was already up. He was wearing an impeccable white shirt. "Good morning, David." He smiled, a radiant smile I hadn't seen in a long time. "The water is hot. I left you new clothes on the shelf. Take a shower, Dad." I entered the bathroom. Steam filled the air. I took off the dirty clothes, the stained shirt, the pants full of dust from the cathedral sidewalk. I saw myself in the mirror, a skinny old man with ribs marked like broken piano keys, bruises everywhere, black, yellow, weather-beaten face, beard of several days. I turned on the shower. The hot water hit my head, running down my back. Oh man, what a feeling! I grabbed the soap and scrubbed hard. I scrubbed and scrubbed, wanting to rip off the grime. The smell of poverty, the smell of fear of these 8 months. Tears mixed with the water. I cried from sadness, but also from relief. I was not a stray dog. I was a human being. I deserved to be clean. Upon leaving, I saw on the bed new clothes Daniel had gone to buy. Gray pants, light blue shirt, and new leather shoes. I don't know if you like the style, but... "It is beautiful, son," I interrupted him with a trembling voice. "It reminds me of the old days. I got dressed." The shirt fit me a little big because of how much weight I lost, but the fresh cotton made me feel alive. I combed my hair. I shaved. I looked in the mirror again. David had returned. Skinnier, older, more wounded, but without that beaten dog look from yesterday. "To breakfast, Dad." Daniel patted my back. "We need energy for today's war." We went down to the restaurant. The smell of freshly made coffee invaded me. Not Michael's cheap instant stuff, but real brewed coffee with cinnamon. I saw the buffet. Eggs, bacon, hash browns, pastries, donuts. My mouth watered. "Whatever is fine," I said with my hand trembling over the plate. Daniel served me plenty. "Eat, Dad. Regain strength. You have to be strong to mince that wretch in court." I tasted the egg. The flavor... no way. Food had never tasted so good to me. I ate with desperation. Then I remembered my manners and slowed down. But the tears kept coming out. "What will we do today?" I asked after the second cup of coffee. Daniel wiped his mouth. His gaze sharpened. "Today we are going to see the shark. I have an appointment with Mr. Harrison. He is the best lawyer in the city for property and abuse disputes. And then we are going to recover every dollar Michael stole from you." I nodded, leaving the cup. The full belly and being clean gave me a strange strength. Dignity had returned, and with it, fury. Mr. Harrison's office was on the 25th floor of a tower downtown. You could see the skyline shining in the sun. Here resides the power and money in the city. Harrison was a man of about 50. Bald, gold glasses, expensive gray suit. He did not seem kind, but terrifyingly professional. They called him the Shark, because when he bites, he doesn't let go until leaving the bones. "Mr. Miller, sit down." He pointed to the leather chair. Daniel told me, but I want to hear it from you, about the power of attorney. I breathed and told the story of the notary Michael brought. What was his name? Asked Harrison, pen in hand. I don't remember well. Mr. Vance or Vargas? Short, fat, thin mustache. Harrison smiled with disdain. Ah, Vance, I know him. A rat of the trade. He forges papers for irregular lands. He accepts bribes like one drinks water. Harrison stood up and walked. Good news, Mr. Miller. If it is Vance, we can attack the validity of that power. Surely he didn't follow the protocol of checking your mental capacity, nor explain the terms to you. But Michael has papers, I worried. Papers made with fraud and coercion are toilet paper before a judge, affirmed Harrison. Besides, we have evidence of abuse. A guardian who hits his protected. That aggravates everything. He turned to Daniel. Tactic. Hit fast and hard. Step 1. Urgent complaint to the district attorney for breach of trust, fraud, and domestic violence. Step 2. Immediately freeze all accounts in David's name that Michael uses. Step 3. Eviction order. Freeze the accounts? My eyes shone. That is right. Harrison smiled coldly. We will cut off his oxygen. A freeloader like Michael without his money is a corpse. He will panic. And when there is panic, they make mistakes. How long does it take? Asked Daniel. This very afternoon, replied Harrison. But first, Mr. Miller has to do something unpleasant. He looked at me seriously. You need a medical report. We need the evidence on your skin. The bruises, the scars. Everything must be recorded by a forensic doctor. That will be our strongest weapon. I shuddered, undressing before a stranger, showing my weakness. But I looked at Daniel and saw his determination. I will do it, I said. Whatever to get him out of my house. Harrison nodded. Good. Come on then. Let the hunt begin. The district attorney's office is a gloomy place. Gray walls, flickering neon light, smell of old paper, cold cigarette, and desperation. People sitting waiting to report. Mothers without children, beaten wives, and abandoned old people like me. Daniel squeezed my hand. Harrison moved fast, talking to clerks, using legal terms to scare the bureaucrats so they would hurry up. David Miller, they called. They took me to a cold room. A forensic doctor of about 40, tired face, indicated me to take off my shirt. Everything? I asked, trembling. Only in underwear, Grandpa. I need to check the whole body, he said without emotion. I undid the buttons of the new shirt, trembling. The pants. Standing there in boxers, I felt more naked than ever. Naked of dignity. An old man of 70, wrinkled, inspected like damaged goods. The doctor put on gloves. He started touching the bruises. Does it hurt? He pressed my rib. Ouch! I screamed. Does it hurt? A lot. Looks like a fissure in the 6th rib, he murmured, noting down. How old is this blow? 2 days. He pushed me against the TV. And this scar on the back? 3 months? He threw an ashtray at me. The doctor stopped. He looked at me, and his tired eyes showed compassion. He sighed. Damn animals! What a mess! How can they do this to their father? He raised the camera. Click, click, click. Every photo was a lash to my pride. The flash illuminated the raw truth of my life these months. I closed my eyes. I imagined that every photo was a bullet for Michael. I was no longer a victim. I was the living evidence. I was the accusation of flesh and blood. Ready. Get dressed, said the doctor softer. I will make the report now. These injuries are enough to constitute a serious crime. The district attorney's office is located on a noisy street downtown. It is an old concrete building, gray like the sky this afternoon. Inside, the air is charged with the smell of damp paper, cheap ink, and desperation. Dozens of people are sitting on hard plastic chairs, waiting to file complaints. Stolen wallets, stolen cars, beatings, frauds. In this monstrous city, tragedy expands every day. I sat next to Daniel, interlacing my hands to hide the trembling. Although I am the victim, entering here scared me. Fear of bureaucracy, of curious looks, and fear that justice would fall asleep, as it usually does. But today I have the shark. Attorney Harrison walked down the narrow hallway with the bearing of a general. The sound of his Italian leather heels hit the floor clop clop with authority. He didn't take a number. He went straight into the district attorney's private office, greeting like old friends. In this city, they call that connections. If you don't have connections, your file stays at the bottom of the drawer forever. 15 minutes later, they invited me into the private office. The DA was a robust man with a thick mustache, wiping sweat from his forehead. On his desk was my medical file, the photos of the bruises, the X-ray results of the cracked rib, and most importantly, the bank statements with red numbers. "Mr. Miller," he said with a deep voice, "I already reviewed the file. What a barbarity! A case of abuse and blatant dispossession right in the heart of the capital." He pushed a file of documents towards me. "This is the emergency freezing order. As soon as you sign here, we will send the electronic notification to the National Banking Commission. In 2 hours, all accounts in your name or where you are the holder that Michael uses will be frozen. Not a penny can leave." I took the pen. My hand still trembled, but this time it was not from fear of Michael. "And what happens with the power of attorney?" I asked. "Attorney Harrison already filed the complaint about its legality," explained the official. "We already summoned Notary Vance. He will sing soon. Once we prove that you were coerced or deceived, that paper will be annulled." Nullity. I put the pen on the paper. The black ink stained the white sheet. DAVIDMILLER. My signature was more crooked than before, but firm. With this signature, I was cutting with my own hand the source of life of the demon that tormented me for 8 months. "One more thing," continued the DA, his gaze sharpened. "Based on your injuries, we have issued an emergency protection order. If Michael approaches you within a radius of 500 yards, he will be arrested immediately without prior trial." "Thank you," I murmured. Upon leaving the building, it was already getting dark. The cold wind slipped through the collar of my shirt, but my chest burned. Daniel patted my shoulder. "Well done, Dad. Now we just have to sit and watch the show." Harrison was talking on the phone with a triumphant voice. "That is right. Freeze everything. Also, the wife's additional cards. Let's see what they pay for dinner with today." He turned to me and winked. "Mr. Miller, do you know what the best feeling for a lawyer is? It is seeing when the villain realizes he has lost all his power. And that moment is about to arrive." I looked at the city sky, where black clouds swirled, announcing a strong storm. The storm is approaching, but this time it will fall on Michael's head. That night, we were sitting in the hotel room, with a tense atmosphere but full of expectation. Harrison had sent a private investigator to follow Michael and ensure he didn't hide assets before the judge's order arrived. At 9 o'clock, sharp Harrison's phone rang. He put it on speaker. "Report, Camacho," ordered Harrison. The detective's voice sounded mixed with loud music and the noise of dishes. "Boss, this is pure cinema. He is at the Prime Steakhouse downtown. He is with 2 friends and 3 very pretty girls. The table is full of lobster, live oysters, and bottles of the most expensive whiskey." I shuddered. The steakhouse is famous for being incredibly expensive. A meal there costs what a working family spends on food in a month. "And then," insisted Daniel, "he just asked for the bill. It is $1,800. He took out the platinum card with a face of arrogance like saying, "I am the king." The waitress took the card and returned in 2 minutes. I held my breath. I could imagine the scene. The waitress told him, "Sir, the card was declined." Michael turned red as a tomato. He yelled at her, "Are you crazy? My limit is $50,000. Run it again." The girl, scared, went to run it again. Declined again. "Ha!" Daniel punched his palm with his fist. "Take that, wretch." Detective Camacho's voice continued. You could hear he was laughing. He took out a second card. Declined. The third. Declined too. At this point, the whole restaurant was already looking. The girls with him started whispering, covering their faces with their purses. His friends played dumb, pretending to go to the bathroom. The manager came out to face him. He said loud, "Sir, the bank reports frozen account for suspected fraud. Do you have cash?" "Excellent." Harrison slapped his thigh. "Suspected fraud. That one hurts more." "What did he do?" I asked, with my heart beating fast from pure satisfaction. He searched all his pockets. He barely gathered about $50 in loose change. He turned pale. In the end, he had to leave the Rolex, which I bet is fake or bought with David's money, and his new iPhone as collateral. The manager threatened to call the patrol if he doesn't bring the money in 24 hours. And the girlfriends, they all left. They called Ubers, cursing at the door. Michael stayed there, standing like a post, totally humiliated. Swallow me earth, surely he thought. Harrison hung up, the hotel room filled with Daniel and the lawyer's laughter. I did not laugh loud, only smiled slightly. A sensation of satisfaction ran through my veins. I remembered the days when I had to beg him for $5 for medicine, and he threw the money on the floor. I remembered how he mocked, seeing me eat cold beans. Now he was standing in the middle of a luxury restaurant, without a cent, despised by everyone. "That was just the warm-up," said Harrison, pouring himself a glass of wine. "Tomorrow, when the hangover wears off, he will realize that the blocked card is not his biggest problem. The real problem is the people he owes money to." I felt a chill. "You refer to the loan sharks?" "Exactly," nodded Harrison. "The juice loan guys. Those guys don't use lawyers to collect, Mr. Miller. They use baseball bats." My satisfaction did not last long. The raw reality hit us the next night. I was watching the news on the hotel TV, playing with the new cell phone Daniel bought me. Suddenly the screen lit up. A message from an unknown number. I opened it. It was Emily. Message 1. "Dad, please, answer. I'm very scared." Message 2. "There are people banging on the door. They are full of tattoos." Michael hid in the bathroom. "Dad, help me." My heart shrank. The father instinct surged with force. My daughter was in danger. "Daniel!" I shouted. "The collectors are at the house. Emily is texting me." Daniel was working on his laptop. He looked up with a hardened face. He took my cell phone and read. Message 3. "They broke the gate. They are in the patio. Michael, go out and talk to them." Ah, message 4. "They say Michael owes $50,000 in gambling debts. They give him 48 hours. They broke the TV. Dad, do you have money? Lend me to pay them, I beg you." My hands shook uncontrollably. $50,000? How much of my money had that damn Michael burned on gambling? And now he got into debt with the mob. "Call the police, son." 911, I shouted. "They're going to kill her." Daniel held me tight by the shoulders, forcing me to sit down. "Calm down, Dad. If we call the police now, the thugs will flee, but they will come back, and they will be crueler. And more importantly, if the police arrive, they will find drugs or illegal things that I bet Michael has stored. But your sister?" "She is going to be fine," said Daniel, with a cold voice, but I saw his eyes doubt. "The collectors want money. They don't want to kill on the first go. This is a warning." The cell phone vibrated again. Message 5. Photo attached. A photo of the destroyed living room, the 85-inch TV with the broken screen, the torn leather sofa, and on the wall, red spray paint graffiti. "Pay or die." My God! I grabbed my chest. I lacked air. My house. My home. Now it looked like a crime scene. "Look at that, Dad." Daniel pointed to the photo. "This is what Michael brought to this family. Destruction, violence, shame. We have to help her, Daniel. After all, she is your sister." I begged. "I have a small plot of land back in the country. Can I sell it?" "No!" shouted Daniel, making me jump. It was the first time he raised his voice at me. "Nothing is sold. Not a dollar is paid to those guys. Do you know why Michael dared to borrow? Because he thinks he has a gold mine, which is you. He thinks when the collectors arrive, you will get scared and sell the house to pay him. If you pay this time, there will be a next one and another until you die dry on the street." Daniel's words were a bucket of ice water. He was right. Man, he was completely right. I had enabled them for too long. My weakness was the food that nourished the demon inside Michael. Then what do we do? I asked, with tears in my eyes. We do nothing, said Daniel, turning off my cell phone screen. We let Emily face the consequences of her choice. She chose to stay with Michael. Now she has to taste the price of that choice, but it is cruel. It is tough love, Dad. Sometimes, to save someone from gangrene, the doctor has to cut off the leg. Tonight, Emily has to learn to stop her own bleeding. That was the longest night of my life. Lying in the hotel bed, with my eyes fixed on the ceiling. Outside, the rain began to fall hard. Thunder rumbled like roars of wild beasts. My phone kept vibrating on the wooden table. Daniel didn't let me turn it off, but forbade me to answer. Buzz, buzz. Every vibration was a knot in my throat. I imagined Emily curled up in a corner, crying, while her cowardly husband hid like a rat. My daughter, the girl I carried on my shoulders in the park, the one who braided my hair and promised to take care of me when I was old. Now she asked me for help, and I turned my back on her. Are you asleep, Dad? Daniel's voice sounded in the darkness. No. Don't feel guilty, said Daniel softly. Remember, last week when you had a high fever, how many times did you call Emily? I stayed silent. I remembered. I called 5 times. She didn't answer. In the end, she sent me a message. Dad, don't bother. I am at the movies with Michael. Take a pill. She abandoned you, continued Daniel, hardening his voice. She saw your bruises and turned away. She ate fine steaks while you ate cold beans. The Emily you loved already died. The one writing to you now is just an addict, addicted to that Michael's toxic love. But if they kill her, they are not going to kill her. They need her alive to pressure you for money. Tomorrow we will give Emily a path to live. But that path does not include Michael. I swallowed bitter saliva. My God, how hard it is to be a father. Being a cruel father to save your child is 1,000 times harder. The phone finally stopped ringing. Maybe Emily ran out of battery or hope. Silence filled the room, heavy as lead. I closed my eyes, whispering a prayer. Holy Mother of God, protect my daughter and forgive the cruelty of this father. The next morning I woke up with swollen eyes. Daniel was already awake, making coffee. Drink it, Dad. He gave me the hot cup. Today we have something important. We need the final proof to throw Michael in jail forever. We are going to see Mrs. Higgins. We parked a block away from the house to avoid Michael seeing us. His Suburban was still there, but with the windshield smashed. Trace of last night's visit. The gate had red paint stains. The house looked like a ruin. I pulled down my hat and crossed the street fast. The convenience store, the Hope, was tiny, full of chips, sodas, and those jars of candy. The smell of cheap soap hit my nose, a familiar and comforting smell. Mrs. Higgins was behind the counter praying the rosary. She is a widow my age, always with a floral apron, and knows everything that happens in the neighborhood. Upon seeing me enter, she dropped the rosary. Mr. Miller, she exclaimed, running out from the counter. Holy Virgin, you are alive? I believed that you were already. She hugged me tight. She smelled of softener and human warmth. I couldn't contain the tears. A neighbor cared more about me than my own daughter. I am fine, Mrs. Higgins. Thanks to my son, I pointed to Daniel. Good afternoon. Daniel inclined his head respectfully. I am Daniel. I heard you have something that can help my dad. Mrs. Higgins nodded fast. She looked nervously at the street and lowered the metal curtain of the store. Come in here, quickly, she whispered mysteriously. We entered the kitchenette behind the store. On the table, with a plastic tablecloth, she put an old laptop. I put security cameras last month for fear of thieves. She recounted with trembling hands, opening the machine. But I never imagined recording that barbarity. She clicked on a video dated August 14th. On the grainy screen, I saw myself, a skinny old man taking out a trash bag to the gate. I walked slow, with difficulty. Then Michael appeared, in shorts, with a beer can. He shot out, pointing at me and yelling at me. You couldn't hear the audio, but I remember perfectly what he said. Useless, old man. Hurry up. You're blocking my view. In the video, I lowered my head, asking for forgiveness. But Michael did not stop. He kicked the trash bag I was carrying, scattering everything. I stepped back and tripped. And then he did it. He used both hands and pushed me hard on the chest. I saw myself in the video fly backwards, hit my back against the stone step, and roll to the sidewalk. I stayed motionless for a good while. Michael stayed there. He spat on the ground next to me and went into the house, slamming the door. Mrs. Higgins burst out crying, crossing herself. What an animal! I wanted to run out, but I got scared. I saw you lying there, and then you got up by yourself. I was very cowardly, Mr. Miller. No, you are not a coward. I took her hand. You did the best you could do. You kept this proof. Daniel watched the screen fixedly with red eyes of anger, but also with a shine of triumph. Here it is, he said with a vibrant voice. This is the last nail in his coffin. It is not just domestic violence. This is attempted homicide, because you hit your head. With this video, he is never getting out on bail. Mrs. Higgins took out the USB stick and put it in my hand. Take it, Mr. Miller. Make him pay. Recover your house. I squeezed the cold USB in my hand, but my chest burned. It wasn't just data. It was my sword of justice. Thank you, Mrs. Higgins, I said. When I recover my house, I invite you for coffee every morning. I will be there. She smiled through tears. But remember the donuts. We left the store. Daniel carried the USB like a treasure. Let's go, Dad, he said. We take this to Harrison, and after we are going to see Emily. I nodded. It was time to face the truth. The next morning, while Daniel and I had pastries and coffee at the hotel, Attorney Harrison's phone rang. The ringtone was insistent, aggressive, like a bad omen. We have problems, Mr. Miller. Harrison's voice on the speaker no longer had the triumphant calm of yesterday. That damn Michael doesn't want to sink alone. He just filed a counterclaim in family court this morning. What did he do? Asked Daniel, squeezing his coffee cup. He filed a request for the judge to declare David mentally incompetent, due to senile dementia, said Harrison, indignant. He argues that Daniel, meaning you, are taking advantage of your father's mental instability to kidnap him and steal his assets. He asked the judge to name him Michael as sole emergency guardian to protect his father-in-law. What? I jumped from the chair, feeling the blood rise to my head. Did he say I am crazy? Son of a bitch. I remember the details of the cathedral blueprints better than he remembers his wife's birthday. It is a typical trick of cheap lawyers, explained Harrison. If the court doubts his sanity, all his complaints are paused for evaluation. The order to freeze accounts could be lifted temporarily, so the guardian has money for his medicines. He is trying to buy time to empty the accounts or flee. I let myself fall into the chair, trembling. The biggest fear of an old man is not death, nor poverty. It is being treated as useless, as demented, as a big child. Michael knew my weak point. He used my old age as a dagger in the back. What do we have to do? I asked, with a voice broken by rage. Prove he is a blatant liar, said Harrison sharply. I already contacted Dr. Smith urgently, a top forensic psychiatrist at the city hospital. You need a complete mental exam. Today, come on, get ready. I am picking you up. That afternoon, I sat in front of Dr. Smith in a white office, smelling of alcohol. The doctor, a man of 60 with eyes sharp like a scalpel, looked deep into me. Don't worry, David, he said softly. It is just a talk. But it wasn't a talk. It was the battle to recover my right to be a person. What day is it today? Wednesday, August 23rd. Who is the president? How long is the term? The President of the United States. 4 years. If you buy 3 pounds of oranges at $15 and pay with 100, how much do you have left? $55. But, doctor, oranges at the market are already $18. With $15, you only buy the sour ones for juice. Dr. Smith smiled and took notes. Good memory. He asked me harder questions about the past, architecture, recent events. I told him how to calculate reinforced concrete for soft soil. I told him Michael's financial irregularities with accuracy of sense. Do you remember your PIN number? Yes, I answered, looking him in the eyes, but more importantly, I remember the day Michael took out $1,000 from the ATM downtown at 2 in the morning to gamble, while lying to his wife saying he was going for my medicine. After 3 tense hours, the doctor put down the pen. He took off his glasses with respect. David, he said, your memory and logic are better than those of many young people. You do not have dementia. On the contrary, you suffer from trauma due to prolonged abuse, but that does not take away your mental capacity. He signed the certificate and put the red stamp. Conclusion: completely lucid, legally capable, and fit to administer his assets. I took the paper as if it were an Olympic medal. Take that, Michael. Wanted to play mental chess with an old architect. You picked the wrong rival. That night my phone vibrated again. It was Emily. But this time it wasn't panic. It was pure desperation of a cornered animal. Dad, I am hungry. Michael left. He took all the cash and the chain Mom gave me. The collectors are outside. They threw red paint. I escaped through the back. Please come, just once. I beg you. I read the message with a broken soul. Although she makes mistakes, she is still the girl I carried in my arms. I looked at Daniel. He was cleaning his gun. He has a permit, but I know he doesn't want to use it. See her, Dad, said Daniel, serious, but in a public place. And remember, tough love. If you soften now, you condemn her. We chose a Starbucks on University Avenue. Safe place, classic. We arrived early and ordered coffee. At 8, Emily entered. I almost dropped the coffee. That was my daughter. Emily, always fixed up, heels, ironed clothes, now looked like a ghost. Matted hair, no makeup, black circles under eyes, gray skin. She was wearing an old jacket, trembling from cold, shoes dirty with mud. She looked everywhere like a thief. Upon seeing me, she burst out crying and wanted to hug me. I raised my hand to stop her. Sit down. I pointed to the chair. No hug. She wasn't ready, and she hadn't earned it. Emily sat down, drank a glass of water in one gulp with a trembling hand. Dad, Daniel, help me. Her voice was a thread. Michael owes $50,000. He made me sign as a guarantor. Now he fled. They say if I don't pay, they throw acid in my face. My God, I'm scared. And Michael? Asked Daniel, cold. I don't know. He said he was going for a lawyer. He took my jewelry. He told me to stay and watch in case you came back, Dad. Emily sobbed. Dad, sell the land in the country. Pay them. I will work to pay you back. I swear. I will work like a donkey. I looked at her, hurt as if they poured salt in the wound. Sell the grandparents' land, to pay the gambling debts of the wretch who beat me? Emily, I said firm like a sledgehammer, I am not selling anything. I will not pay a single cent for your husband's sins. But they are going to kill me, she screamed in a whisper. They won't kill you if you do what I say. I put a napkin on the table. You have 2 options. 1, you go back to Michael, flee with him, pay his debts, and continue being his slave. I will pretend I only have a male son. Emily opened her eyes with terror. She had never seen me like this. 2. I continued looking at her fixedly. You come with us to the DA's office right now. You declare the truth. You deliver proof that he forced you to sign, that he beat me, and that he stole. And divorce? She stammered. But the church? The priest? God does not force you to live with the devil. I hit the table. Bam! The people next door turned around. No way. He hits your father, steals, puts you in danger of death, leaves you with narcos, and you talk about morals. God gave you life, not for you to throw it in the trash with that imbecile. If you testify, intervened Daniel softer, Harrison can negotiate witness protection. The collectors won't touch you if the police watch you. And that debt, the judge will declare it Michael's gambling debt. Illegal. And you go free. Emily looked at us. She looked at her hands without a ring. Michael had already sold it. The internal struggle showed on her face. Fear of Michael. Fear of what people will say. fear of dying. In the end, she lowered her head and cried with muffled screams, "I will do it! I will do it! Forgive me, Dad. I am stupid. Forgive me, Dad." I exhaled long. It wasn't total forgiveness, but it was a start. I saved what was left of her. I called the waitress. "Some pancakes with lots of syrup. Very hot," I ordered. "For my daughter. She needs strength to fight." 3 days later, rainy morning on Main Street, Historic District. The silence of the neighborhood was broken with sirens of 2 patrols and a white moving truck. I was crossing the street, under an oak, with Daniel, Harrison, and Emily. She was wearing big dark glasses to cover swollen eyes, hiding behind my back like a scared girl. Harrison had the eviction order and the arrest warrant with a red stamp. Michael had returned last night. He had nowhere to go. He barricaded himself, closed everything like a rat in his hole. "Open up! Police!" The officer hit the gate with the baton. "Get out! It is my house! I am the owner!" Michael shouted from inside, hoarse and crazy voice. "I have a weapon! Whoever enters, I kill him!" The neighbors came out. Mrs. Higgins was in the front row with a crucifix praying. "He doesn't have a weapon," whispered Emily, trembling. "It is all a lie. The only gun he bought was a toy one." The police did not argue. They ordered to enter. A strong crack sounded when they cut the chain. The team entered the patio. Noises, screams, bam! They broke the main door. 2 minutes later, they dragged Michael out. He looked pathetic. He was no longer the great lord, in floral boxers, belly shaking, dirty, bearded. He kicked and insulted, but he was already handcuffed. Upon passing in front of us, he saw Emily. "Damn you!" he howled, spitting saliva. "You betrayed me? I am your husband, and you betray me. I am going to kill you. I am going to kill you all." Emily trembled, stepped back, but this time she didn't cry. She breathed deep, took off her glasses, and looked at the man she once adored. "You killed my love, Michael," she said, voice quiet, but clear. "You are a coward. You are a coward." Michael wanted to lung, but they slammed him against the patrol car. "And you?" He turned towards me, grinding his teeth. "Damn, old man. You think you won? You are cruel. You throw your son-in-law to the street. You are going to hell." I approached. Less than a yard away, I looked him in the eyes, looking for repentance, but I only saw selfishness. "I am not throwing you to the street, Michael," I said, calm, with the voice of someone who recovered his command. "I am returning you to where you belong, prison, and don't worry about hell. I already lived in the one you created for 8 months. Now it is your turn." "Take him away," ordered the officer. They put him in the patrol car like trash. The neighbors applauded. Mrs. Higgins shouted, "Thief! Rot in jail." When the patrol car left, silence returned. It stopped raining. The sun came out, illuminating the patio. I looked at my house. Broken door, trash, but waiting for its owner. "Home, Dad," said Daniel, touching my shoulder. I crossed the gate. Destroyed garden, broken pots, but I breathed deep. It smelled of wet earth, of bougainvillea, and most importantly, it smelled of freedom. 2 months later. The southern prison is a gray concrete block, cold, windowless, neon light that hurts. Here end those who believe themselves above the law. Michael's trial was fast. Harrison and the DA were brilliant. It was an exhibition of justice. The evidence did not pile up. It fell like an avalanche on his arrogance. First, Mrs. Higgins's video on the big screen. The room gasped with horror, seeing how Michael pushed his elderly father-in-law against the stone. The judge had to hit the gavel 3 times with a face of fury to calm the murmur. Then the bank statements. $240,000. The sweat of my life. Burned on gambling, parties, and women, while I ate leftovers. But the final blow was Emily. My daughter, trembling and with a psychologist by her side, stood up and told everything. Threats, violence. She delivered the text messages. Michael was in the defendant's box, shaved, with wrinkled beige uniform. He didn't look brave anymore, head down, shoulders trembling. His public defender only asked for clemency for difficult situation. Ridiculous. Defendant Michael Jones. The judge spoke, resonating in the room. Your acts are an insult to morality and the law. I held my breath, squeezing Daniel's hand. Sentence: 12 years in prison. Without right to bail. Restitution for $245,000 to David Miller. If he cannot pay, all his assets are confiscated for auction. Bang! The gavel fell. End of the nightmare. I exhaled, feeling a ton lifted off me. 12 years. When he gets out, I will already be with God. Or he will be an old man alone and poor. Divine justice. They took Michael away. Upon passing, he stopped a second. He wanted to say something, but lowered his head and kept walking. He lost everything. Emily received 3 years of probation for collaborating and being a victim of battered woman syndrome. She had to return 30% of the lost amount. Upon leaving, Emily came towards me. She didn't look me in the eyes, dressed simply. Dad, I am going to work, she said quietly. I got a job as a dishwasher in a diner near my room. I will send you money every month, even if it is $50. I will pay you everything. I looked at her. She was skinny, rough hands, but her eyes had a life of their own. She was no longer Michael's doll. Don't send anything right now, I said softly. Use it for you. Eat well. Live like decent people. That is the best way to pay me. She cried, nodded, and went to the bus stop. I didn't stop her. She needed to grow through pain. Sunday afternoon in the historic district. Golden sun on the stones. I'm in my rocking chair on the patio. The wall is already painted bright brick, covering the ugly graffiti. The fountain sounds happy. The bougainvillea throws purple flowers on the clean floor. Inside, there is no giant TV or black sofa. I sold them. I put my old mahogany furniture, my wife's tablecloth. The house smells of wood, of books, of peace. I put a small altar, my wife's photo, marigold flowers, a candle, I whispered. Old lady, I recovered the house. Rest. I didn't lose our nest. Delicious aroma comes out of the kitchen. Not rancid beans, but brewed coffee. Daniel comes out with 2 steaming mugs. Your coffee, Dad. He sits next to me. Smells good. I close my eyes. Smells of freedom. How delicious. We watch the sparrows in the fountain. Tomorrow, Daniel returns to New York. Are you going to be okay, Dad? He asks, worried. I taste the coffee. Sweet sugar, cinnamon, warmth in the chest. I am fine, son. I smile calm. Mrs. Higgins will come to play chess. I already have my pension. And I'm going to remodel the church arch. I am very busy. Daniel laughs. He takes my hand. I'm proud of you. You fought like a warrior. No, son, I deny. I'm just an old man who wanted to drink coffee in his house. But you taught me, never lower your head before evil, even if it comes from family. St. Mary's bells ring. Bong, bong. I look at the blue sky. Life does not end at 70. It just turns the page. A page without fear, only with coffee and peace. Let's see. I raise the mug. Cheers. Cheers, Dad. I drink the coffee. Sweet on the tongue. Life goes on. And this life, God bless, is beautiful. If this story has captivated you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box to the left of the screen. Thanks for watching.